Hello everyone and welcome to another devlog for Viral Wars. It's me, Vector Game Dev. In today's devlog we're going to be talking about Unity Cloud Build, post-processing effects, and some gameplay improvements. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the Unity Cloud Build. So Unity Cloud Build is basically a way to build your project without you having to actually manually press a button on your machine and build a project. And for this project I'm using Unity Collaborate, which is Unity's own source control versioning system. So because I'm using Collaborate, it's super easy to actually integrate with Cloud Build. Although I did run into two issues, which I'm going to be talking about in this video, but for the most part it's actually great to have a source control integrated with the continuous integration, which is the Cloud Build versioning. And every time I do an update to my project, Cloud Build actually builds a new version of the project for both Mac OS and Windows 64-bit. So this is actually good for me because I can check every time I do a commit whether or not the build was successful, and I can maybe pinpoint future errors that I can fix earlier rather than waiting for me to do a build and then realize there were errors and then I need to fix them. Alright, I'm just going to go over quickly about the issues that I ran into when I was trying to build a version of my game with the Unity Cloud Build. So the first issue was that Unity only supports at the moment mono scripting backend for Windows builds, and that's a simple fix. So you can just switch out on the Unity editor, or you can do what I did and create a script specifically for the Cloud Build versioning, just to switch it up when you're exporting the project to Unity Cloud Build, and then you can still build within your preferred scripting backend. So at the moment I'm using this workaround to get my version of the Cloud Build working, and also I can build on my own machine using whichever script backend version I want to use. You also need Burst compiler for the version 1.3 or later. I was using an earlier version of Burst, and that was generating some issues as well, so I just thought I'd mention that so we can avoid some potential headache. Alright, next up I want to talk about post-processing effects, and I kind of did that in the past, but now I actually try to make it look decent within my game, and as you can see here on the screen, the results are quite good, even though I barely scratched the surface of what the post-processing effects can actually do. And I plan on reiterating this more in the future, and I feel like I'm gonna change how it looks depending on the level. For this level I went for more cooler tones, and then I have a vignette effect as well. So in this particular case I wanted the player to focus on the center of the screen, so for those levels this is gonna be useful. But I feel like for other levels I might change the effect a bit, and I also need to do a bit of researching to make sure my game looks with the colors that I intend to look on different screens and displays. So more on that in the future devlogs. Alright, so lastly I want to go over some gameplay improvements to my game, and those are a series of improvements that I'll be doing over maybe the next 2 months or so, just to make sure the game plays well and is actually fun to play. And yeah, so they might look like little small things, but because the game is already a huge code base for one-man studio, I actually, every time I implement a new thing, I need to make sure it works with every other system as well. And as I said, I implemented the Cloud Build integration, considering the fact that I need to test everything. So in order to make sure that everything works when I do a code change, it's actually good to have those systems in place. And also it might look like a small feature, but the work to get that done might actually be a lot more than if you just try to do the feature on its own. So first off I want to talk about infection zones. So this I did actually over my live stream on Thursday. So I live stream both my game, Viral Wars, and also I do game dev challenges on Sundays. So if you're interested in that, make sure to check the links in the description. So during the live stream specifically, I worked on the infection zones. And the infection zones actually are a gameplay feature that I implemented that can help add more gameplay dynamics. So the idea is you have those infection zones where if the humans stay there long enough, they get infected. And I also change how the humans get infected now, so they can be infected either by the virus infect them manually or if they stay in an area that is contagious for long enough, they will get like a meter, and then if that meter exceeds a certain value, then they get infected as well, and then they can spread the disease. And the infection zones are actually now a part of a bigger container. So for now I only have the infection zones, but I made it so if I want to do like healing zones or maybe a different type of zone, I can do them, and I can instantiate them but just by calling a method. And I can predefine positions on the map, and then I can load them up and instantiate them on the map as I see fit. And during the live stream I also converted my Vector 3 handle tool that I created for like the moving platform, for example, and I converted that into a class of its own, and now I'm using my infection zones with that class. And what that allows me to do is actually add points and move them with the Unity handles instead of using transforms or kind of messing around with numbers for the actual points in the map. So that was a good improvement as well. I'll be switching around everything that uses either a transform or a Vector 3 list to that component instead, and then I can just move around the points. And maybe I'll also do some, like I did some gizmos, but maybe I'll actually bake the gizmos in so they look a bit more, I guess, easier to find in the scene, so they don't get blended with the other gizmo stuff. So maybe I'll customize that as well, and then it's going to be like my complete tool just to kind of move points around the map, and it's a lot easier to work with. And yeah, I finally got to do that. That was on my to-do list for quite a long time. So all right, the last thing I want to cover is the UI. I actually worked on this a bit before, but now it's actually working it to the point where I can actually use on my game. And I think I also touched that on my live stream. So what I did was, because it's a local multiplayer game, for each player that is instantiated on the map, they actually have a widget on the screen, and those widgets have some instructions. So for example, if you're playing with the controller as the human, if you press B, it's the button to actually use your active skill, and in this case I only have one human that has a water gun, and in this button is to use the water gun against a virus. So what I did was, I can actually identify which action I want to get from the control scheme from the new Unity input system, and once I get that key, I can then get the sprites, and I can call states when I press a button. So because I have everything in containers, when I press a button, an event is called, and then this widget gets the feedback, and then you can change the scale or the color, and basically I can activate, deactivate, add effects to represent when the button is being pressed, when the button is being released. So because I can play with all those things, I figured that I would do a feedback system for all the controls that appear on the screen, and it's actually super fun to see how that works out. I think that's a good feature, and it actually helps the player to see what's going on, and maybe it's in some cases it's not clear enough, but I think that's a step in the right direction, and I think feedback actually helps the player a lot to understand what's going on the screen. So I might add more features to this and might improve this over time, but I think that's a good first step, and I'll be making sure to make more of those steps to help the gameplay, as well as making new features and making sure they all work nicely together. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching this far. As always, if you could leave a like if you enjoyed the video, that will help me a lot. And also, if you like this type of content or you want to see how this game comes to life, make sure you're subscribed as well. Also, I'll leave the links for my live streams in the description if you're interested. As I said, I do my own game. I make my own game on the live stream on Thursday, and also I do game dev challenges on Sundays. And yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much again, and I'll see you on the next one.